The incompetent African. There's a wise quote from an African tribe. Most quotes could be found in African tribes from ancient times. That goes in a similar way in English. A fool does the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Africans are vastly and extremely incompetent. Why? Are they low IQ like that white boy might suggest? Are they inferior beings? Why are Africans extremely incompetent? Why is the infrastructure and advancement speed lacking? Why are the richest men that invented everything and bring prosperity to the world get their ideas from ancient African ideas, such as the Egyptians? Musk himself is from South Africa, had to leave his origins to pursue a land where opportunity is more vast. Why? Here's why. Fundamentally, you need to understand what money is. Money is a self-interest container. If money is a self-interest container, this explains everything at its core, including why Africans are extremely incompetent. The most energetic men with ideas are young men, innovative, have the energy, their money. That's the highest form of money itself. A human being's energy, time, and ideas. Nothing beats that. I don't care what natural resources you have in the ground. Nothing beats that. And Africa has a deposit of vast men, young men. The only continent with the highest form of deploying stored money, which is young men, energy, time, and ideas. And where the most intellectual young men going? They're going to Europe, apparently. Why are they going to Europe? What's in Europe? Europe's a museum. There's nothing in Europe. Nothing. There's nothing I could ever desire in Europe. Why are you going to Europe? It's regulated. It's regulated to a point that they're now going extinct. Why are Africans going? Why are you sacrificing your life to go to Europe? Self-interest. Let's analyze why they're going to Europe. The leadership in their countries do not understand the ignorance of self-interest. I too went to school with prominent leaders, not just from Africa, but from all around the world. They're kids, prominent leaders' kids. President of this, prime minister of this, member of parliament of this. They're kids right in your class in these Western countries. So if I'm a leader in an African country and I have a power over the resources and the men of that nation, I'm gonna deploy those resources to where they can get the highest value of education, of standard of living. That's just reasonable, self-interest. The problem with that line of thinking is these men do not understand the short-term repercussions of such dealings. Furthermore, Africans have no proud innate, I would say, writings, because you have no alphabet. You have vast languages, but there's no alphabet. Like the Chinese have their own alphabet. The Arabs have their own alphabet. You could say the Egyptians are African. Some Africans do have their own alphabet, but vastly, there's no alphabet. You're using the English alphabet. You can make the excuse to say there was an alphabet at one point that got lost. Fine. Who gives a fuck what got lost? Make up one. Make an alphabet. You have your own utterances. You can make an alphabet right now. Are you not that vast in thinking and thought? Another thing is religion, which is, I think, the top. The Europeans at their peak of civilization, when Africa, I assume, was a fallen continent based on the innate greed of human nature, not just unique to Africans, but unique to humanity itself. They went to the Dark Ages, I assume, and Europeans who are now getting out the Dark Ages and thriving could come to Africa and instill the ideologies that they had going on in Europe over Jesus Christ that got hanged on a cross and all this other crap, over Muhammad or anything out there. So in this process, they come to Africa and they instill that belief system. When you guys had your ideas of spiritual shit, I don't think it counts or it's better than anything else. I'm just uttering my observations. And when they came there and brought this Jesus crap into your face and made you bow down, this is my teacher in high school used to say this, made you start shout out Mr. Nyongo, made you close your eyes and start praying while you motherfuckers are doing that shit. He's taking all the gold, all the copper, and building manufacturing bases in Europe and so on. That's what happened. And then you guys are stuck with this idea of a Jesus Christ coming back one day to save you. You deserve to suffer. You deserve to perish. And I do hope we come back and enslave all niggas. I do hope we do that shit again. Because if that's the idea you're rolling with, how are you going to develop your own unique thought outside of these ideas of a man in the sky coming to save you one day? Another problem with why Africans are not progressing is you're not ruthless enough. Other nations are extremely ruthless in their ideology, and they're willing to kill all of you to get the objective done. A stupid African who sit down there with all that energy, all that wisdom, all the knowledge in the world, all the power, all the strength to throw you away. I'm not saying a lot of Africans are not ruthless. There's some ruthless ones. Those are the ones that get power and rule all over you fucks. But those fucks are not self-interest, are not aware enough. They've not studied enough about self-interest and where those ideas of being selfless could lead an entire nation. Imagine if you're a leader of an entire nation and you're selfless enough to lead that nation into industrialization. Imagine how much money you're going to make. But they're not even thinking that long term. So with their ruthlessness, they're thinking very short term. And then all the populace are not ruthless enough to fucking pillage to get their objective across. You're not ruthless enough. You need to lose your soul to thrive. If you don't, Africans are going to go extinct. No question. Because it's not about... Because your sharpest and brightest are being taken by Europe, by American universities. They take, especially America, we love to take smart people anywhere. So the sharpest are being taken, the dumbest are being left there, and the most ruthless are ruling the dumbest. Right? So if you don't start becoming ruthless in your execution, you're gonna go extinct. Another thing that you need to do is you need to understand the innate value of self-interest. Humans are innately self-interested. And if you understand that your self-interest, your energy and your time and knowledge is what creates money, then what's money? The self-interest in Europe, meaning their time, their energy and so on, their ideas, that's what their money is representing out there. So you're going to work for somebody's ideology in Europe. Somebody less than you. Somebody that hasn't built economies more vast than you. Economies that consistently collapse. Right? They ain't built no ancient structures and electric systems that we can look to and say, that's why it doesn't work in Africa. You need to develop way better electric systems that sustain your geographically infrastructure. The ones that they've developed depend on geographic locations, for example, hydro systems and so on. Some African countries don't have hydro systems. They have vast solar system that you motherfuckers could just put your minds together Start to print your own money, make it up, pay the people out there, make them work towards building this vast solar system, and print your money tied to the solar system. Why aren't you doing that? Right? So, yeah, if you guys don't start to think with knowledge, taking your own local, unique geographic infrastructure, your unique geographic natural resources, your unique geographic ideas in your languages and develop your own languages. And maybe use English. The English is not a bad thing, but also interact with other Africans. Understand that there's power in numbers. One African country has a population of 20 million. What are you going to do with that? Another one has another 20. Another has another maybe 45 million. Combine those resources and just build shit. So Africans will remain vastly incompetent because of self-interest. Leaders want to take control of the natural resources locally. They're thinking very short term, and they're not thinking about real hardcore engineering. When the smartest and brightest people you can ever interact with mathematically are African. A lot of the mathematics that we use today were developed by the ancient Egyptians. So what's the problem? So yeah, Africans will more than likely go extinct if you don't start with the younger generation. The older generations are already cooked. So another huge problem with these Africans, most of them, majority, is superstition. The idea that, there's some ghost somewhere or some magic guy can do some magic stuff to make you rich. And the Illuminati, in general, is highly, highly unproductive, and it has no basis in reality. Superstition is a recipe for poverty. Why do you think some magic man in a hut can do some magic somehow and make you rich, or bring revenge to your enemy? Not just with Africans. I think most primitive cultures think this way. At one point in Europe, there was a vast superstition too. Still, probably till this day, in the most underdeveloped portions of Europe. Most places, a lot of superstition, but Africans included. That idea of superstition needs to get out the window. So how do you solve some of these problems? You have to become extremely militant, like the Chinese. I think you have to centralize industrialization, and then you have to put industry before anything. So anybody that is trying to go to church before contributing to industry, you have to heavily prosecute them. It has to become ruthless in the direction of industry. Everyone has to get on the same page and accord and understand the fundamentals of money. That money is simply our energy, our knowledge, and our time. And we can print that here. We can produce in industry with our natural resources. What we print will have a value in the global market. We can print more to buy stuff because we're energetic. We have time. We have resources. And the world will start to respect you for what you are. And if anyone fucks with you externally, be willing to go to war and kill. Not just die at war. Be willing to go out there kill. And understand that you're the best. It's your mindset. So most Africans, they have a mindset of hopeless. Help me. Poor African. Fuck you. Fuck you. So ruthlessness needs to become a religion. All these Jesus-loving fucks, we start beheading them. You can go to church after work, after producing an industry, after understanding manufacturing, after understanding fundamental physics of industry, and not just learning a bunch of physics from somewhere and then not applying it, and go to a school and have a teacher check mark it. Fuck that teacher. We'll behead that teacher. So you have to become militant like the Chinese did. The Chinese, nothing special about the Chinese. Jews outperform the Chinese on the global stage. Chinese allegedly have a vast IQ. Allegedly. But all they did is just organize themselves militantly and ruthlessly. So that's what you need. And they have a huge population. So they had the manpower to do it. Nothing special about the Chinese. All they did was copy everything that the Western world tried and error. Not the Western world, pardon me, Americans that we put together. Our trial and errors. They read all that shit in the book. They saw what John D. Rockefeller did. They saw what Steve Jobs did. They saw how the internet came to be. They saw all these things, and they just learned faster and implemented the things that worked. They didn't have to trial and error. And how they're gonna proceed from here, let's because the Chinese have no original thought. They don't think original thoughts. They don't make a song that's original. It all sounds like a Taylor Swift song if they make a song. It sounds like a hip hop song when a nigga in China rap. It sounds like their computers and everything they're adopting is something that a Steve Jobs thought about. Their cars is something that a Henry Ford thought about. They have no philosophers that really mind blew shit. They're just great at copying shit. With the African, one thing that you do have is you have original thought. So imagine your execution of those original thoughts. Your own space program, your own energy system, your own radio, which Tesla imagined from your infrastructure in the Egypt. Tesla calculated a lot of the ideas that built the modern world from Egyptian structures. Were the Egyptians smart? Who knows? So I never spoke to one. So, man up, niggas.